root for the Lions. Period.
All right, sir. Let's go ahead and get off into this box.
Lions,
We don't
man.
have time. We don't have time.
Good for the city, man.
Yeah,
Detroit need this to be good for the city. What we went through, 0-17, everybody laughing at our city, man. We need this.
Listen, man. See, that's the thing. I think some of us can't, do two things at once. You know what I'm saying? Like support two different things. You know what I mean? The fact that we're talking about Baltimore right now doesn't mean that we can't compartmentalize and be able to support the other game afterwards. But we were just talking about this one.
It's two games today, man. This is one.
And we don't have Ty for that long, so we're going to go ahead and get all the boxing news. My boy Vail is over there acting up already, man. All right, man. Also hit that
like we ain't got another game. NFC.
We talked about them last week, but it's all good. But again, talking about Jaimemunguia putting on that sensational performance in Phoenix yesterday, he stopped JohnRyder. I want to say it was the 9th round that they put a halt to the fight. What do you fellas? What are your thoughts? What did you think about Jaime yesterday?
I thought it was a good performance by Jaime, but at the same time, I think stylistically, the fight kind of favored him, considering that JohnRyder, he fights with that one arm down, and he doesn't. He's very hittable, and he doesn't have a lot of power in the shots. He has some power, but it's not enough to really. I think with Munguia, you need something to get his attention, like we saw with Darren Chinko in that fight, when Darren Chinko had enough pop to really push Jaimemunguia back. Now, and Munguia still is he's hittable, but he did improve a little bit. I think as far as he didn't get hit with as many shots. That could have been just JohnRyder being more conservative, but Ryder was hitting him like, in the middle of combination, in the middle of Munguia's combinations, Ryder was hitting him, and that could. I'm looking at how that's going to play out in a fight with, a Canelo, what I'm saying? But we'll talk about that later. But, I mean, the fight was just going smoothly. It was all right until I think the second round when Munguia he walked Ryder right into he hit him with a straight right and knocked JohnRyder down against the ropes. Ryder got up. And it was interesting because Ryder did I thought that the third round, he kind of was trying to get himself back in the fight. And then the fourth round, Munguia got him again with the pretty much he knocked him down with a jab because he really didn't land that. It looked like a 1-2, but he really didn't land that right hand. So I was kind of like, man, Ryder kind of looking, he a little bit shakier than I thought, or Munguia just got that power. So even after that, I think Ryder was kind of still trying to claw himself back to the fight. I think he sensed the urgency, like this is my career and that's going to be it if I don't win this. So he did try. He didn't just, really give in and give up. But when he got hurt I think in the 8th round, he got hurt again a little bit, but he kind of still fought his way through that. In the 9th round, Munguia put Ryder down twice. Even after the second time, it was like I think his corner was trying to stop the fight, but the referee didn't see it, so they was letting it go on, and he ended up taking some more punishment before the ref finally saw whether actually they saw ringing the bell, and they stopped the fight. So really, Munguia did look decent in that fight. He always been, to me, offensively gifted. It's just that his defense is what I worry about, and I think in this fight, it really didn't show me more, but I do think he's going the right direction with Freddie Roach as a trainer, but it didn't show me more where I feel like comfortable that I would put him in there with Canelo Alvarez, But if this is just for him to just, fight better competition, oh yeah. But if you're going to jump from JohnRyder to Canelo, I don't like that. No.
Let me go ahead before you chop it up, Tyler. Let me go ahead and go to the chat. You see Sheldon active in the chat, says, "What up, fellas? What up, Sheldon?" And then he also says, "Nobody beats Baltimore." Hopefully, you're right, sir. That's what I'm hoping that happens, regardless if it's this game. And I'm not even gonna look past Patty Mahomes because that's a tough out right there. Also, Shelt said that McGill was too young, too strong. I think
Yeah,
so. I agree with that as well. And then we also have Ryan Hanley in a chat. He says, "What up, fellas? What up to you,
yeah. What
sir?
up, Doe?
What up?" And then he said, "Why not put his blank in there?" I think I agree too, man. Like at some point, you gotta sink or swim. He did more against Ryder than Canelo did. I'm impressed. Okay.
Yeah,
Ty, what
that's more
about you?
style to me.
Okay. Ty, what about you? What did you think about his
It
performance?
was one heck of a performance from Jaimemunguia. He did better than Canelo. I was surprised by what JohnRyder was doing, like far as him keeping his composure. I mean, he kept his composure. Like every time he got knocked down, he got up, kept trying to fight back, kept clinching. But Jaimemunguia, his aggressiveness, his power, it was just too much. Ryder kept going down. Like the fight would stop. The fight would stop. So all around, it was one heck of a performance from Jaimemunguia. Salute to him. Salute to his trainer, Freddie Roach. I don't recall him calling out anybody, but I definitely would love for him to get Canelo, Cinco de Mayo.
Okay. So the young man. Let me ask you this question, then, good fella. Before the fight, did you think McGill was deserving of a Canelo fight?
Honestly, no. And I say that because this is something that I always say. I always felt Munguia kind of had a record like Deontay Wilder, 40-some wins, not really a decent resume. Yes, he had Derek Chinko on there and a couple other guys, but I don't think that his resume was actually good enough to deserve a Canelo fight. But, he just beat the guy Canelo beat. He did it better. But I do think Canelo took a lot out of Ryder prior to Munguia fighting him. But would I like to see the fight? Absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead before I make my comments on what I saw. Here's the punch stats. As you see, Ryder nearly doubled the amount of punches that was landed. He was more active, 468 to 300. I mean, this is going to be played on the podcast, so they won't be able to see this. So as far as the punches landed, 146 to 77 percentages. You had Munguia landing 31% to Ryder's 26. He was doing some nice bit of work with that jab too. And like you said, Vail, he knocked him down with one of them. But when he was landing there, it was a nice little strong jab that he was throwing. So again, he landed 45 to Ryder's 19. Jabs thrown, 207 for Munguia, 86 for Ryder. And then they were totally identical when it comes to the percentage of jabs that were landed. And then also Munguia had an overwhelmingly larger percentage or number of power punches that he landed, 101 to 58. He was more active as well with the power shots, 261 for Munguia, 214 for Ryder. And then percentage-wise, he was more accurate, nearly at 40% for Munguia and 27% for Ryder. I think that Ryder, Ryder is long in the tooth. And he was really making his last-ditch efforts in order to be able to justify that Canelo fight. And I think that that's where he put all of his eggs into that basket. So he had the Jacobs win. That was a close decision victory. And then he fought the other guy, I forgot his name, Parker, I believe that was his name. And he ended up upsetting him. And so that's when he finally landed that big money Canelo fight. And that's the fight that he always wanted. And so I think it's twofold. It's the fact that what you mentioned as far as the amount of punishment that Canelo inflicted on him, broken nose and taking a pounding for 12 rounds. And then also just being able to get up again for somebody that's lesser and not only quality, but also he's lesser. The event is less. Now it's big, but it's not as big as that Canelo huge in Jalisco. You understand what I'm saying? So I think, and he's old, you know what I'm saying? So I think that all of those factors played into it. Dude has a solid heart, man. He just kept trying to get up over and over. But the kid just overwhelmed, like you guys mentioned. I'm not going to belabor it as far as what happened during the fight, but I like what I saw from McGill, but he didn't show me any wrinkles that allows me to think that he's going to be even really that competitive against Canelo. I think Canelo is going to really just be too seasoned for the young fella. But he positioned himself to get that big money fight, and he can make claim that he deserves that fight moving forward. I think in a perfect world, I think you will look at these fights right here. This would be in a perfect world. You would have Munguia fighting Berlanga, and then Carlo would be fighting Plant. And Morrell would be fighting that gentleman right there. And then you'll have Benavidez and Canelo fighting each other. What do you guys think about that? That was some good matchups for 168.
Yeah, that's perfect, man. Matter of fact, put it all on one card. We'll never see that, but yeah, put that on the card, man. You know, yeah, that'd be perfect. And I think it's not that. And I understand people want to throw Munguia in there with Canelo and saying this was his audition, he earned it. But I think it's a level that's missing. I think some of that is in some of these fights. Like, for example, even from these guys, I wouldn't mind seeing Munguia and Jamal Charlo. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost like everybody just wants Canelo fight. We're dealing with what we dealt with in the last few years. Everybody wants this big fight with Canelo, but nobody wants to earn it amongst the other guys. You know what I'm saying? Canelo is already a superstar. He don't have to take any of these fights. He can just retire right now and still have his legacy. These guys wait, then say, okay, I want to fight Canelo. Like, for example, never mind. I lost my train of thought there.
Well, was it Plant? Was it who were you talking about? What weight class?
Yeah. To extent Plant. That's a good example. I thought if he would have fought, let's say Jamal Charlo before Canelo, I think that would have been better experience from him instead of just jumping in there with him and just having that belief in himself and not really, matter of fact, I think even in that loss against David Benavidez, it's almost like he learned something. He showed, some how tough he really was versus looking that bad against Canelo, where Canelo basically just dog walked him pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. The only problem with that is Charlo wasn't going to fight him. I don't even know if he's going to fight him now. But I do agree with the fact that he should have fought stiffer opposition going into the Canelo fight, being more active than he was prior to him taking that fight, and just waiting around because he was reluctant on facing Benavidez. He didn't want to face Anthony Durrell at the time. And it was just afterwards he decided to do it after he took the Canelo loss. But had he fought those fights prior to, then he would have been more prepared for Canelo. Guys tend to do that. You're right when it comes to Canelo. And I see that Shelton says Canelo, yeah. Canelo will be bashing Big Maul and man, that's what it looks like. And then he said, I like Morrell. Okay, you like that fight right there. And then he says, Big Maul hasn't earned a shot either. Yeah, but he is easy to touch for Alvarez. I agree with all of those points that you're making. What about you, Ty? What do you think about those matchups right there?
Yeah, I seen the pictures earlier too, and I thought it was perfect. Jaime Munguia versus Berlanga, that would be a good fight. Berlanga is fighting, in February. If he gets past his opponent, they can definitely set something up. And of course, Jamal Charlo and Caleb Plant, they definitely got to make that happen because I still can't get over that slap, man. That was a bad slap. So Maul definitely gotta get that smoke, being embarrassed like that in public. So that's the perfect matchup. And of course, Canelo and Benavidez, that's what everybody wants to see. That's the blockbuster fight, that's the mega fight. I think it does great pay-per-view numbers. So, hopefully we get that. But as Shelton was saying, looks like we're going to get Maul. I think that's a terrible matchup because Maul still didn't look 100%, even though he beat, Jose Benavidez, he still didn't look 100% mentally. So I think that's just a bad fight for, him, especially after 2 years, going right into a Canelo fight after one fight against Jose Benavidez. That's a bad fight for me. And as far as David Morrell and Christian, that's a good fight because David Morrell, even though he's a big guy, he's got power, he still needs some more experience under his belt. So all four of these matches to me are perfect.
That gentleman there, I see him and people talking about him. How do you pronounce his last name, the one that's next to Morrell? I you know, some people are high on him, but I'm not familiar with him that much. But I see he has a really good record.
So Billy. Well, I just pronounce him Billy. I've seen him. People are high on him, but I think he is kind of like. I mean, he's a more rougher version of Munguia. Like he's offensively talented, but I think he's probably even easier to catch between shots and possibly hurt. So
Okay. I'm gonna check him out a little bit more. Man, we got a tie because I know we don't have you here that long, and this we got an upcoming fight next week. I'm not even really gonna touch on this too much. Vail put this as far as like things to discuss, but you got your boy, man. You got your boy Conor Ben. He fighting. I don't even know. I tried to find highlights of this dude, man, and I can't even find this man. But you got Conor Ben. It doesn't even look like Conor Ben can fight in the UK because he's fighting over here, and he must not be cleared yet. So they keep bringing him over to the United States to fight. This is the second time that he's going to be fighting in the United States. If you guys are familiar with Dazn, only thing I'll say is this: based on the limited things that I've seen of Dazn, the guy's 16-0 with 9 KOs. He's a pretty decent fighter, but he doesn't do anything, you know, that jumps off the screen. Like he's not fast or anything like that. He tries to box a little bit. He's kind of tall. But I just think that he's so basic, you know what I mean? Nothing to write home about. And Ben is coming off that fight that he had last against Orozco, and Orozco ended up testing positive for a banned substance afterwards. And so I think Ben is using that as an excuse as to why he couldn't get him out of there because dude tested positive. Or it could have been the fact that Ben couldn't use the stuff that he was using before. You know what I mean? So it's just, I have no clue. But in this fight, my prediction would be based on what I saw. Ben should be able to get this guy out of there probably in the middle part of the fight. Or if he's not, you know, still not, you know, as energized as he was when he had the stuff in the system, it could go a decision. But I think Ben is definitely going to win this fight. What about you guys? You got anything on this fight next week?
To be honest, I think he's going to get him out there in the first 3 rounds.
Okay.
But considering this is Vegas, this ain't the UK, he's probably going to get tested. So I'm going to go to the mid rounds, maybe the 6th round that he's going to stop Dazn. I do just looking at, of course, there's hard to find footage of Peter Dazn. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad because you don't know how, when you see somebody, some of his fights are so grainy that there's certain things that he do you can't really see. It could be some talented things that he does have that could, you know, he could be a dark horse.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna tell you. The only reason I would be skeptical on that is the limit to the opposition that he's faced. That he has 9 KOs in 16 fights, and he's 33 years old. You understand? So that's the thing that's working against him.
Yeah, but looking at Conor Ben, I mean, you always got to bring in that question of how he's going to look when he's not, you know, on anything, you know. So the footage you have, you question it, but he's supremely athletic, you know. Even though he's crude, you know, very crude, wild, but he has power and he's pretty fast. Not like supreme hand speed, but he's fast as far as, you know, throwing that shot and popping it out there. Kind of like, you know, you can tell he's his father's son. I mean, not saying he's as good as his father or can do what his father does, but he is Nigel Ben's son. You know,
got you. I don't want to spend too much time on something that's not even that big of a deal.
Nobody cares about Ben. Yeah, I care about Nigel Ben because that was my guy. You know, what I'm saying, back in the day.
About, you know, something that's irrelevant. You got anything on this time so we can get to this news? Because I think the news topics are like really what's shaking up things. Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you, Wilton. I'm not familiar with the Dazn guy, but I do think it's a good fight for Conor because, you know, he's really just getting back into that mix after his PED stint. So I'm cool with the fight, but I would go with Conor on this one since he's got a better resume.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let me go ahead and move on. So, like I say, and plus he's a cheat, man. We don't be wanting to talk bomb gunner and you know what I'm saying, big baby. Come on, man. We won't do that. All right, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Do us that solid right there as we try to creep up, you know, to the ultimate goal, which is getting the Shay Shay. You understand what I'm saying? With his Cat Williams. We try to I'm just messing with you. But anyway, the boxing news this week, man. We had a lot of big things that occurred this week. And I'm gonna start with the big fight card that you got Amazon Prime March 30th. It's a pay-per-view, but it's headlining Tim Tszyu against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is the guy who kind of rolled out PBC when he fought against, I want to say that was, what's my man name? Guerrero. Keith and Guerrero kind of introduced PBC to the networks with their first fight. And so he's going to, they're spiraling back to Keith Thurman with their new deal that they have with Amazon Prime. And then also the co-feature is going to be Rolly Romero versus Pitbull Cruz. What do you guys think about this fight card?
I mean, I like the fight card. I think it's going to be some interesting matchups. I you know how I feel about it being on pay-per-view. I ain't with that pay-per-view. I'm with Ryan Hanley over here. Like the fact that it's on pay-per-view, people are like, it's a great card. I'm like, for pay-per-view. I mean, now if you're streaming it, you probably don't care. But if you're paying for it, it's like, am I gonna pay for this? You know what I'm saying? Is it worth paying for? When we used to get fights like this on HBO 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying? So or Showtime. So, I mean, but I do like the fights as far as I don't really like Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman because Thurman's he hasn't really been active. The only win he's had is in the last 4-5 years is Mario Barrios, which is actually looking better as time goes on because of Barrios' victory over Ugas, but still it's just Barrios. It's not like Keith Thurman has been fighting any of the top welterweights or anybody really at 154 like that, and he's moving up in weight and he's injury prone. He's going in there with Tim Tszyu, who approves in every fight. So that fight, I really don't like. It's just name value, really. Rolly Romero versus Isaac Cruz, that's a decent fight, for those guys' levels. I think both guys, to me personally, I think both guys can be a little overrated. Rolly just always been, people just like him because he's Rolly Romero. And Isaac Cruz, I think he gets certain things that he does that's overrated and certain things he do that's underrated. Like his boxing ability is kind of underrated. But as far as his status, really it's because he had that performance against Tank Davis that people look at him as like, now he's a tough fight for anybody, but I don't look at him as like the top lightweight or anything like that. So but it's other fights on this card though that I think are, I mean, in totality, it's a decent card, but for pay-per-view, no.
This is whack, like the old Hancock movie, man. I'm gonna let you cook in the second time, but I was just getting irked, like I was really getting upset as Bill talked. It was really my blood was boiling because this is bogus. This is a bogus card. I'm gonna tell you why it's bogus.
Pay for it, though.
Keith Thurman's been out a long time. My guy here, Shelton, said that Thurman said that Heyman, I guess that's what he's paying him back with this one. But this is hot garbage, man. So you got Tim Tszyu. I guess he's coming over to the United States to make this fight. For pay-per-view purposes, it's horrible because who knows Tim Tszyu over here in the United States? They don't really know him unless they're anticipating a lot of money coming in from Australia. Okay, that might be a possibility. Keith Thurman isn't in the know now because he's been so inactive. And then you think about this. Keith Thurman has been inactive on several occasions, right? So he's been out for about 2 years. He got whooped on by Pacquiao in 2019, old Manny Pacquiao. Then he takes more time off, and then he gets hit to the body. He was hurt a little bit against Barrios, and he didn't look that great. So now he's off another long layoff, fighting in the new weight division, fighting against somebody who's hot as fish grease, Tim Tszyu, a bigger, stronger dude. That's going to spell disaster unless they just want to take Tim Tszyu and make him look good against a name. I mean, if that's what they're attempting to do, then, they're going to achieve that objective. As far as Rolly Romero and Pitbull Cruz, I don't like this either. Now, it's a good matchup between the two, but these two dudes are only known because they lost the Tank. Like, really? What have they done? Like, what have these dudes? And the thing what they're going to set up is this is going to give Tank another option. So if he ends up, let's say, for instance, Pitbull wins, that justifies a rematch for him to go up and get the strap against Pitbull. And so he's just going to recycle some dude that he already whooped on who's not even that good. This is like the Twilight Zone, man. And just for people to not be able to see like the game that they're running on us is crazy to me. Again, if this was just Pitbull versus Rolly, and that was just the fight, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but Rolly doesn't deserve that title. That old man should have had that title, or he should have. And then on top of that, he shouldn't have had the title in the first place. He shouldn't have been fighting for a title.
You talking Barbosa?
Yeah, Barbosa.
Granddaddy.
Yeah. So again, I don't for those reasons, I don't really too much care, for this card. But what about you, Todd?
Yeah, when I first heard the news, it kind of shocked me because they were saying at one point it was going to be Tank to be the first fighter on a PBC card for Amazon. It was supposed to be Tank. So when I got this news, it shocked me. It took me by surprise. Thurman and Tim Tszyu, to me, it's a bad fight. As you mentioned, you already pointed out everything. Thurman's been inactive, and it kind of reminds me of Ryder and Joseph Parker. Ryder only had one round in a year. Joseph Parker had 3 fights going into that fight. So it's similar. This fight is similar to that. Tim Tszyu, he's on a nice 3-win streak for 2023. Beat Carlos Campos, he beat who else did he beat? Tony Harrison, and then he just beat Brian Mendoza. And Keith Thurman hasn't fought since Barrios, who was moving up in weight. So it's a bad fight. And I'm going for Tim Tszyu in this fight. I would say by decision or late stoppage. And as far as Rolly and Pitbull, it's an interesting fight. I got Pitbull, and I say that because Rolly was dropped by the old man. He was also dropped by Tank. So Rolly doesn't have the best chin, and we know Pitbull Cruz, he can crack. So for this fight, I'm going for Pitbull Cruz probably by a KO, unless something fishy happens. They want him to hold on that title. So I got Pitbull Cruz by stoppage, and I got Tim Tszyu by decision or late stoppage. But it's not a pay-per-view worthy card, but as a boxing fan, I'm definitely going to tune in and watch it.
My main man, what's Shane says, great card. And okay, I appreciate that knowledge. Shelton says, I'll be watching March Madness. I might be with you on that one, man. Like, this is hot garbage, man. Especially for their rollout for their new Amazon deal. And then they were talking about Ryan versus Rolly and all of that type of stuff. If
Ryan wanted that fight, Ryan really wanted that fight.
If you're going to, indicate or put that out there that was a possibility, then it's you going backwards by quickly making the Pitbull fight. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a marquee. At least if you put those two together, then you can justify it because they both can. It would sell more because they both are gregarious. You know what I mean? In their own different ways. But I don't know. So and then
that's true. I just think that this is more in house. And Ryan, I don't think he's a PBC fighter. And for Ryan, De La Hoya really was trying to put him in there with Jose Ramirez, which is why Ramirez probably got that contract anyway. But Ryan Garcia probably wasn't having that.
Yeah, man, the promoter should be working for you. Ryan Hamlin says Rolly's one of the biggest trolls in boxing, but I love it. His mouth is good for boxing. I don't know.
No, he didn't beat Jackson Marinez.
No, I don't mind guys who can talk it. You know what I mean? You had dudes in the past like Roberto Duran, like he was a nasty guy. You know what I'm saying? You had dudes like Mayorga, you know what I'm saying? But them dudes actually could fight. And so he can punch, but I can't see him beating a top quality guy unless he just gets lucky. But man, when I'm seeing Devin Haney and training twin with the dude, like he's just like he's just fighting a little kid. Like, come on, man. Like and then you want to be talking crazy like that. It just that don't sit well with me. You know what I mean? When guys play that game and then they get promoted, for it. I don't know. But anyway, that's the class that you got on March 30th. Those are some of the matchups that we were seeing. Ryan Garcia, he was surprised that Rolly Romero opted for Pitbull. So we kind of talked about that a little bit. And then, you got those things. Also, Erislandy Lara is going to be fighting on that card. He's going to be fighting for, I want to say, the WBA championship against Michael Zarafa. You got any thoughts on that before we go to the next topic? Because that's also going to open up the card, or at least the TV portion of it.
I think Erislandy Lara, he just trying to cash it all out, man, and get that money, man, before he get out the game. So I think that's what that's all about, man. I don't think he's interested in getting the big fight. A big fight for him is versus Danny Garcia, which is a good name, but I always thought that was a weird fight considering Garcia is really, a welterweight, moving up to like middleweight. So I think Lara just trying to, get that money so he can sit on the couch with Louis Ortiz, man, and laugh about what their career was. So, I mean, the sad part is you got Erislandy Lara, who is like one of the best, talents that was in boxing. I think about 10 years ago. He's opening a card.
What's wrong with that?
Opening a card where Rolly Romero is ahead of him. Erislandy Lara.
Erislandy Lara has been inactive, though.
He has been inactive, but still Erislandy Lara.
Man. Erislandy Lara.
Look. Keith Thurman has been inactive also, and Keith Thurman is the A side of the main event. A side.
Yeah, so you got to name Keith Thurman against the guy who really supposed to be the star of the show, which is going to be Tim Tszyu, who hails out of Australia, And then, but all of those guys are more known than Erislandy Lara, especially off a layoff and the dance partner that Erislandy Lara is facing. Now, he's fighting another guy that's relatively unknown. And so I think that's just more so as far as popularity sort of thing. You know what I mean? If he would have been more active doing this thing, I think that he probably would have had his own card like he was going to have with Danny Garcia. But, since he's fighting an unknown guy has losses against Kell Brook, has a loss against Jeff Horn, you know what I'm saying? Like, what can you expect, Erislandy Lara, But hopefully he gets that strap. But he's campaigning in a weight class that really doesn't have any known commodities. So he's definitely going to position himself not to be, a marquee fighter on any of these fight cards. And then especially at his age, unless they're still trying to wait for the Danny Garcia to see if that fight is going to take place. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Todd?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna hop off.
Yes, sir.
It's an okay fight. Zarafa, he's on a nice win streak, but as you guys mentioned, Lara, he's coming off some inactivity. I did want him to get that Danny Garcia smoke, but Danny Garcia, he's busy being a businessman. He just put together a card that I just went to. So it's a tricky one, man. Like I said, Zarafa's on a nice win streak. But Lara's been in there with a lot of guys, man. He's been in there with Canelo. He's been in there with Jarrett Hurd. So, but he is older and he's coming off some inactivity. So it's a tough fight for me to call. But I'll probably go with Lara by decision.
Lara should win this fight, man. The guys that like I say, me seeing the fact that he lost against Jeff Horn, the fact that he Peter Quillen got him out of there in the 5th round. he should be able to beat this guy, unless age just, he's just too old. You know what I mean? But Ty, I know you got to get up out of here, man. Certainly appreciate you stopping through.
All right.
Good luck with all the things that you got going on.
All right.
And we'll check with you soon. All right, good brother.
All right, appreciate it, man.
All right.
Yeah, we gonna have to check you out on that Emmanuel Akeem fight, man. That was it next month.
Yeah.
If that's in Hanover, man, I might have to pop up and see that one, man.
All right, yeah, I'll shoot you the information to that.
All right, peace, bro.
All right, peace.
Yep. All right. So the other thing, man, it's talks about my main man Errol Spence. It's raising some concerns about his next fight after the footage came out. His video of Spence out there training. He looks considerably heavier than when he was in the ring last. He looks at least 50 pounds or more over the welterweight limit, like close to 200, at least close to 200. What about you? What do you think? Does that raise concerns for you?
Yeah, kind of, because I don't think it's a good sign for him. If it was anybody else doing it, I'm like, okay, all right, let's see what they're gonna do. But for Errol Spence, from what he just been through, it's like it's not a good look showing up to that anyway. But the silver lining to it is he doesn't have a fight lined up yet. So this could just be him just trying to drop that weight before decisions are made. And that's a good thing that he's being proactive about it and not showing up, with a fight schedule looking like this, like I've seen certain other fighters do. So hopefully he's able to get down to, a reasonable weight, a reasonable size so he can, get on with his career. Because I still think he can be a force to be reckoned with.
This disappoints me, sir. The fact that, especially when you are attempting to fight the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, and somebody who's very, very disciplined, and you decide to let yourself go, to this extent. It's troubling. And I don't see you can't have those poor habits going against that guy. You know what I mean? Like if you were really seriously going to contend against Bud Crawford, then that's something that you was going to have to really be, thinking about. That's going to be something that you're seriously going to be preparing for, because the fight is not won whenever the date is. The fight is won in preparation, like all of those days leading up to it. And so if you're not living that type of lifestyle, then I don't see you being competitive, because if that's the direction that you're going. Now, if you are going to take like some tune-up fights, get yourself back, into contention and go in a different direction, maybe so. Maybe you just want to get boxing out your system. You want to, have a good time with your family on the ranch or whatever it is that you were doing, just to get boxing out of your system. And now I'm going to, get back into the swing of things. But you can't do this if you're going to fight him next. You're not going to beat that guy doing that. So that's what disappoints me, if that's the direction that they plan on going.
Yeah, I don't want to see him fight Bud Crawford if he's showing up like this, not in his next fight. So I still think he's a force, but I would want him to fight somebody else, at 154 to pretty much get his mojo back. I don't think it's going to happen. If the only way, this is, I agree with you on that. I wouldn't want to see him fighting Bud Crawford. And if he was, I would want him to be like eating, sleep, and thinking about victory beforehand, where he's showing up in camps like this or showing up to gyms like this, ripped and ready to go, saying, I got my dietitian, I'm ready to go. But this right here, I mean, it's understandable that, he took a hard loss, and he probably needed some this time for his mind to rest and regroup and spend time with his family. But yeah, I'm pro tune up or just a solid fight from him at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right. And so Gervonta Tank Davis, or I should say Abdul, he plots a summer return. Some people saying that it's going to be in the UK after a year-long layoff. What are your thoughts about Tank, trying to make his UK invasion in the summer?
Boxing is getting weird. Like because I think just what 2 weeks to a month ago, they were saying that Tank or Abdul Wahid was going to be the opening pay-per-view of PBC, and now they're saying in the summer, and maybe that's has something to do with them not being able to. Well, I can't say they're not wanting to select certain opponents. They're looking for the right opponent, and I've heard names floated around. I mean, but nothing is solid, and I don't know what I don't know what to think of his handlers and what they're doing with his career. It's like he should be active. Maybe look at him as like he's Floyd Mayweather or something, like he's that guy where he can take fights when he feel like it. But I just don't like this for a guy of this magnitude when he's trying to build his legacy. By the time
I think what you're doing is you setting a standard or goals for him that they don't even have. Like it ain't no trying to make history or anything like that.
But they want to make money. I mean, that's fine. But it's like I just don't know what to think about it. I don't know what PBC is doing right now. Like, I don't get it.
So it can't be Maxie Hughes.
I heard that. I heard Maxie Hughes. I've heard Frank Martin.
Right. Only reason I'm mentioning him is because he's from the UK. And it can't be him because he's gonna fight Zepeda next, unless they do away with that fight. Could it be Joe Cordina? But Joe Cordina would be moving up to face him, but that's right up Tank Alley. Move him up.
You said that.
So it could be him. I don't see anybody else around there because then if I look at, I don't think that he's going to fight at 140, but after a year-long layoff, you never know. Remember, Tank was having a difficult time making weight. Like he missed 135 a couple times, but ever since these dudes got it popping, he been
right on track to make that weight.
Man, he been underneath the weight. Let's see. It can't be. He's not gonna fight Catterall. That's too much trouble.
You don't think he'll fight Jack Catterall?
Heck nah. Yeah. No, sir. So it's interesting. I don't know. Maybe they're just throwing this information out there. But we'll see, man. I'm gonna stay off Abdul this week. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on a potential or possible UK invasion for old Tank.
But the thing is, who is he gonna fight in the UK? That's the thing. And we already went over that. You already went over that. It's hard to really think of an opponent where it's gonna make sense. He's not fighting Saudi because they don't have the Ferrari. They wouldn't have Ferraris waiting for him. So maybe that was the thing with the Amazon Prime pay-per-view, the first one. Maybe those two Ferraris they didn't get him in time.
I don't know, man. Let's say we got Lamar coming up in a minute. So I think they're about to start. I got one last topic for you, and I think this is gonna be a surprise to you.
Okay.
They're saying is Bivol and Better Beast by the titles June 1st out there in Saudi. Man, are you excited about this?
Sounds like so for y'all listening, this is Lavelle Jackson getting the exclusive. This is my real-time reaction, man. I'm about to spit off. If I was drinking coffee, I would spit it all out on myself, man. But this is the one we waiting on, and it's like looking at it. It's almost like it's like one of those fights where you don't believe it until it happens. So I'm not still sure that this is happening until it happens. But it's in the right direction. I see a date, June 1st. I'm like, okay, all right, and this is the unless the direction of boxing changes, this is probably gonna be the fight to see for the year. Because some of the fights that I think could trump it and overtake it, I'm not 100% sure that we will see those fights. I'm not 100% sure that we will see Canelo Benavidez in September. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to see Haney Tank in the next 2-3 years, So I think this is one of those fights where it's like, all right, okay. It's going to be a good one.
Damn. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm excited too, man. But dang on Kansas City just scored a touchdown. So As far as this,
real time, buddy. We got it in real time.
yeah. So as far, I'm excited about it. I think that this is going to be a really, really good fight. I like what the Saudis are doing. It seems like they're trying to bring boxing back, you know, as far as like the best fighting the best, and they're putting a lot of money out there in order to get it done. Some fighters are accepting those, you know, huge paydays in order to, you know, get these fights, you know, in action. And so if they do this, it will really be a good start to the summer, man. And it's a fight that we always wanted. At this point, based on what I'm seeing with Better Beef, in his last performance, you know, I truly think this is going to be a 50-50 fight, and true boxing fans are really going to enjoy this one. And I don't think it's just going to be like a boxer versus puncher, because Better Beef can box as well. I think it might be just a few little things that might make a difference in this fight. Maybe the speed of Bivol, but that man, Better Beef, can punch so hard that I want to see how Bivol responds to that over the course of 12 rounds. And then also the accuracy of Bivol. You know what I mean? Will that deter Better Beef at any point in the fight? I don't think so, because I know that Better Beef fought against Gazdic, who could crack, and he never let up. So, I mean, this is just two titans going at it, man. They're colliding on June 1st if this fight happens. Really, really excited, man. Really excited. Any final things that you have in closing, man, so we can wrap this?
Let's finish these. Look at these comments, man.
Oh, some comments. Yeah, I didn't get a chance.
Okay.
To see that. Okay. Boom. Okay. So yeah, Shane Solis, he says Lara had a great career against Canelo. We don't want to see him lose to Danny. I don't think he will lose.
Yeah, he wouldn't lose. And plus, that Canelo fight was 10 years ago too, so it was a while. I had just moved to this area, so yeah, it was about 10 years ago. I don't know. I can't. I see Garcia being too counter puncher. You can't be a counter puncher against Erislandy Lara. I mean, it's not going to work. You need a bit of volume to beat him. 7-0 Swifty. Oh, okay. Chiefs.
Yeah, man. But any final thoughts? I gotta,
No, I know we gotta get to these games, man.
Yeah, man. Certainly appreciate everybody who stopped through. Shelton, man. Let's go ahead and root Lamar on, man, because I can't have the Swifties over there going to Las Vegas, man, for this Super Bowl. But yeah, I certainly appreciate everybody who stopped through. Shelton, you got Solis, Shane Solis, you got Ryan
Hanley,
and then also appreciate the legend for coming through and rocking.
Shout out to my main man Ty, man.
Absolutely. All right, man, Vail, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Everybody have a great day. Hopefully you enjoy the games and have a great week as well. All right, peace.